Okay, well, hello again, everyone. This is the third of 4 videos on getting unemployment benefits in Washington if you are an adjunct. So, just a quick recap. First video, we covered what to do before you file. Second video, we covered the application itself. This video will cover just the first week while you're in unemployment. It's a little bit more complicated for contract instructors like ourselves, so that's why I'm breaking this out. The final video will be week 2 and every other week after that, and then restarting your claim the next time you're off contract or during the next break. So week 1's, it's not difficult. It's just there's some stuff you need to manage, and you need to make sure you do it correctly, or you can get your benefits denied, and then you got to appeal, and it just becomes a hassle. So that's why we're sort of carving this one out on its own. Okay, so the first thing that's going to happen, we talked about this in the last video, is because you said you were a teacher and that you're on break, the application system is going to automatically generate a request for more information. Okay, so it's the Employment Security Department ensuring that you're eligible to receive benefits, which, as an adjunct, you are. Okay, you absolutely are. Okay, this has to do with something known as reasonable assurance. Okay, it's the terminology that ESD uses, and whether or not you have reasonable assurance of returning to work as a school employee or not. And even if you think you have reasonable assurance, you don't. It doesn't matter how long you've been teaching at Green River College, doesn't matter how many contracts you've had, you do not, as far as the law is concerned. And that's really, really important, because if you did have reasonable assurance that you were returning for work, you would be denied unemployment. Okay, so you have to show them that you do not have reasonable assurance. Okay, so it may take a day or two for the system to generate this. You'll receive an email at the email that you registered or that you put in to your application. So make sure it's one that you can get, you regularly check. You'll get an email saying that you need to provide more information. And it's time sensitive. It's not like you only have a day or two, but you want to do it as soon as possible. That's why I say you get it done in the first week. They give you a couple weeks to complete it, but just do it right away. It'll just make the process that much smoother and ensure that you're not missing any of your benefit checks, or make it less likely that you'll miss any of your benefit checks. Okay, so just right when you see it, get it done. Okay, so you have to log back into the ESD website, and you'll be prompted to complete school employee information titled Reasonable Assurance for School Employees. So that's the thing that you'll click on, and it's a little form, not unlike the application itself. They're not nearly as involved. Okay, so the questions are pretty straightforward. Okay, so it's going to say, when did your employment begin? Okay, that question is referring to the last contract you had. Okay, not when did you start working for Green River. I don't care if you've been teaching under adjunct contracts for 20 years, you started your unemployment at the first day of the last quarter that you taught, right? So again, for fall 2019, that would have been September 23rd. If it's winter 2020, that would have been January 2nd. That's when your employment began, because that was the last time you were issued a contract. And when did your employment end? The last day of the quarter that just ended. So in the fall of 2019 would have been December 12th. For winter 2020, that's March 20th. That's when your employment ended. That's when your contract ended. Okay? Don't go back any further than that. We're just talking about the last contract you were under. Okay? So then again, here's another screen, and again, it's pretty straightforward. You can see there's only basically 5 sections here, really 4, because the complete is just submitting it. But did you work for this employer? It should say Green River Community. Yes. Okay. Which school or district did you work in? Green River College, right? Because if you were at like Seattle, it might say, if you worked at Seattle, it'd say Seattle Colleges, and then you'd maybe say South Seattle, right? Or if you worked at like Pierce or TCC, their districts, or Spokane, right? Okay, what was your job? I was an adjunct instructor in English. What did you do? I taught English courses. When did your employment begin? This is from last summer, you can see. But so again, the first day of the summer quarter, June 24th, 2019. Last day of the summer quarter, August 16th, 2019. That was the terms of my employment. So again, for the winter quarter of 2020, it would be January 2nd was when it began, March 20th, 2020 when it ended. What was your pay rate? Just put that in. I honestly don't know why I blacked this out. It's public information. If you really want to go find out, you can see what I get paid. It's in the contract. It's in our faculty contract, guys. It's not a big deal. Anyway, so I just looked at a month's pay in there, right? What did I get paid in July for the 2 pay periods? And I just put that in there. It's the gross pay, not the net. And then click monthly. Okay, so that's what you do there. Okay, so then the next section, you're going to say, did you perform services in a principal, administrative, research, or instructional capacity? You answer yes. You are an instructor. Did you receive a termination notice from this school or district? No. You didn't receive a termination notice because you had a quarterly contract that stipulated a specific end date. So no, you didn't actually get a termination notice. Okay. Will you be returning to work at this school or district following the break period? No. Answer no. Always answer no. This is really important. No, 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 no. Even if you're like, well, I've got these courses scheduled. My division chair or my dean told me this. No. You don't know, actually, if you're returning. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of being an adjunct. We could have courses scheduled, but things change, right? A full-time instructor may have a class that doesn't run because of low enrollment, and they have to bump you to get your class because the school is contractually obligated to give them a full load, but they're not contractually obligated to keep that class for you. That's just the way it is. So no, you are not going to return. You may return. It's likely you will, but no. You're answering no here, okay? In the substitute section, were you employed as a substitute? No, you weren't. If you had an adjunct contract, you were the instructor of record, not a substitute. Okay. Then the next one, this is a really important bit. Okay, providing documentation. Okay, this is how you're going to tell them that they need to be giving you your unemployment money that you are legally able to get. Okay, so you want to attach 5 pieces of documentation to this response. Okay, so the first is your most recent contract. And what I do is I open up, I get my contract from the contract viewer. That's in GatorNet. If you don't know where it is, you can always email me, but you should see your most recent contract in GatorNet. Save it as a PDF file, and then I go in and highlight it. So I'll show you an example. Let me pull it up here. Hold on. So like I said, you're going to see my contract right here. I really don't care because, again, our pay rates are all in the faculty contract. Okay, so this is mine from winter quarter of 2019. So this is what I do. I highlight the beginning date and the end date. And then I go down here and I highlight these 3 sections. This employee is hereby notified of his or her temporary faculty appointment to the college. This appointment is subject to cancellation by the college for insufficient enrollment, if the assignment is needed for a full-time instructor or other reasons as determined by the college, and it is understood that this employment is on a temporary basis and for the limited period set forth in the contract. The appointment is not subject to tenure. Neither this appointment nor policy or regulation shall be construed as providing the employee with an expectancy of reemployment by the district. That right there proves you do not have reasonable assurance. Even if you're scheduled to teach again, you don't. Until you have this contract, you don't have reasonable assurance. And we don't get our contracts before we start teaching, so there you go. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to submit, okay, is that. The next thing you want to submit is, and these next three here, the adjunct section, the Maloney Ruling, and RCW 5044053 are in the Canvas shell where these videos are, so you should be seeing them in there. But I also attach the pertinent adjunct section of our faculty contract. So that is right here. And so all this is I just took out all the unnecessary pages. So it's just the front page so they can see that it's the current contract for the school. And then I jumped straight down to Article 6, Adjunct Faculty. So you can see that's page 36. And all I did, I highlighted three specific things. Again, selection of adjunct faculty, nothing herein can be construed to confer tenure rights and privileges to adjunct faculty members. So that I highlighted. And then placement in the employment file. This is important, right? Because even if you have file status, nothing in the placement process is to be considered a guaranteed offer of continued employment. Again, not reasonable assurance. And then one more thing, a little bit further down. Where did it go? There we go. Contract cancellation. This is another important one. An adjunct faculty member's quarterly contract may be canceled if their services are not needed. Examples of such situations may include, but are not limited to, the following. So I highlight all three of those pieces because that's pretty important. Because again, more information that demonstrates we don't have reasonable insurance. Now, the Maloney Ruling, I also include this. They should know this, but you never want to give them an opportunity to deny you. Is this right here? So this is from 2012, and basically, you can read through it if you want, but basically it says that Geraldine Maloney and the commissioner was Creedler, basically said that no, as an adjunct instructor, you don't have reasonable assurance. So I just include this whole thing. It's not very long. It's only a few pages. I have a couple pieces highlighting here, right? Highlighted in there. And there you go. And so I include that. And then the last thing is RCW 504453, Education Employees Determination of Contract or Reasonable Assurance. So that's also here. That's this one. Again, it's pretty short. Nothing's too long. I actually don't have anything highlighted in there. I just like to include it just in case. And then the very last thing that I give them is a very very short statement, essentially a Word document, that says something like this, okay? That basically the nature of my previous employment at Green River, and you can stipulate the contract dates. You know, so if you're applying right now, you can say from January 2nd, 2020 to March 20th, 2020, was as an adjunct temporary instructor at a 2-year college. Per my quarterly contract attached to this, the United Faculty Contract, the Maloney Ruling, and RCW 5044-053, I have no reasonable assurance of continued employment at Green River College. And then sign and date it, and then scan it and submit it. So those 5 things are what you need to attach, okay? And that's pretty much giving them every possible thing they could come up with to say you do have reasonable assurance, because that's the main thing that comes back on adjuncts. Is they might say, well, you're just going to go back and teach there when they start back up again. And it's true, you might, but you have no guarantee of that, and that is the key. Okay, so this is really important. That's why I say get it done as soon as possible, because someone has to review all this and approve your request or whatever. And so it takes a little bit of time. So you want to make sure you get this in as soon as possible. Okay, and then this is the page on the complete page where you're going to attach documentation. Okay, so it says Attach any and all documents by clicking here using the e-services attachment function at the bottom of this request. So this is, I will attach documentation now. So don't fill this out until you've downloaded your contract and you've got all your other things and you have your statement written. And then once you do that, you attach it all here, and then you can go on and complete it. And you can see it'll tell you when you need to have this done by, right? And then so once you do that, then you're good to go on that. And then you have to do some other stuff during your first week. So every week that you are on unemployment, you have to complete 3 job search contacts. Essentially, you have to apply to 3 jobs. That's essentially what you have to do. Yes, you absolutely have to do this, or you will not get your check. Okay, you won't get your money. So you have to do this. Now, as an adjunct, again, you might just be intending to come back and teach. That's fine. You gotta do this anyway. And it has to be jobs that are reasonable for you to actually apply to, right? Like, they will give you problems if you apply to McDonald's and Starbucks, right? Like, you're someone teaching at a college, you have professional experience and or advanced degrees, you're not going to be a barista, right? So as an example for me, when I get to the summer, which is when I restart my claim every year, I take that as an opportunity to apply to adjunct pools at other schools, just to sort of keep my applications fresh there, I guess. But also, if there's full-time teaching jobs that I find, I'll definitely apply to those too. I worked for a time in an administrative role at Bellevue College, so if I see jobs that are similar to what I did there, I might apply to those. I also have a background in corporate communications and corporate training and project management, so I'll apply to private companies as well that are reasonable, or technical writing jobs, things like that. I go on interviews still, even, because look, at the end of the day, I love teaching, but I'm not opposed to a full-time job if it's in my skill set that pays me more, So keep in mind that a lot of times, especially if you're applying to jobs at other schools, we know how long hiring can take in the 2-year college system. So a lot of times, you get a call back and you're in the middle of the quarter and they're like, are you still interested in this job? And you might say, nah, I'm back on a teaching contract. Or you might say, sure, yeah, I'll go in for an interview. Who knows? When I worked at Bellevue, I originally applied for that job in October, and I didn't start there until May. So, it can take a long time. So you just got to do it. You just got to apply to 3 jobs that are reasonable for your professional experience and expertise, okay? And you got to do 3 a week. It really doesn't take that long, especially if you have a LinkedIn profile. I find LinkedIn to be super helpful because a lot of times you just have the easy apply in LinkedIn. You basically just say, yeah, apply, and they just send your LinkedIn profile, and that counts. And there you go, right? But you do want to you need to record this information because you got to input it every time you go to file a weekly claim. So the stuff that you have to record is, what day did you make the contact, or what day did you send the application in? Who was the employer? What was the position you applied for? What's the address? The city and the county is sufficient. You just say Seattle or Auburn or whatever. If the application has the physical address, I put it in there too. What's their website? So it could be government jobs, or it could just be their own job board or whatever. And then put in the job reference number if it's available. That's always helpful too. Okay. So the ESD week always runs from Sunday to Saturday. Okay. So all 3 of these contacts have to be completed by Saturday of each week. Again, it's 3. It really doesn't take that much time. I usually just pick a day and do them. It doesn't matter what day during the week that you do them. But basically, so if we're thinking about this in March of 2020, March 20th is the last day we're under contract. March 21st, that Saturday is the first day you're unemployed. If you wait till Sunday, you fill out your application on Sunday, that's fine. You're now in your first week, okay? And we'll talk about what that means in a second. But that means that Sunday, the 22nd, you have between that Sunday, the 22nd, and the next Saturday, which is the 28th, to complete your 3 job contacts for that week. Okay, so that's what you need to do. So just make sure you're writing this stuff down. I just have an Excel file that goes back years. I just have a new tab for every time I'm filing weekly claims, and I just input each 3 every week that I do it. It's just the way I do it. The screen looks like this. So this is when you go in to file your weekly claim and you enter in your weekly contacts. This is what it'll look like. So just enter in the date. Was this an in-person job search activity through WorkSource? No. It was an application or resume. It was online. Here was the thing. Here was the employee, right? Here's the city, the zip. There's their website. There's the reference number. That's pretty much all you need. You don't need any of this. And then you can just hit close, and it'll take you to the next one. Okay. So those are your first. That's your first week. Okay. You got to do your school information about reasonable assurance, and you've got to complete 3 job search contacts. Okay, so that's a goal for the first week. Once you got that done, then if you finish that all on Sunday of the first week, your application, and then you get your school reasonable assurance thing, and you get that done, and then you do your job contacts. You're done until the next Sunday, until week 2 begins. Okay, and that's what we'll cover in the next video. So we're almost done. We're getting there. And then once you get past week 2, it becomes pretty easy if you're on an extended break like in the summer or between fall and winter quarter. So, all right, I'll see you in the next one.